The year is 1996, and the YouTube video depicts a young and magnificent black man walking proudly along a crowded Santa Monica Beach boulevard, shirtless. His incredible physique, sculpted from years of the kind of dedicated gym work required of a Mr Olympia contender, is fully on display. Almost everyone the godlike man passes stops to stare at him, including many admiring young women. He is a black colossus, the center of the world. Click to another YouTube channel and we find a rather contrasting video. There is an older black man in a much more pitiable situation. He sits on a simple chair in a humble hospital room, his face blank, disconsolate. One of his legs has been amputated below the knee, while his right arm is shriveled and the entire right side of his body is weak, the result of nerve damage that occurred when doctors inserted a tube into his arm and down his leg during the amputation procedure. The operation was necessary because of years of physical deterioration, most notably his failing kidneys, and then a kidney transplant, and a very poor blood circulation. You probably guessed it, but it's the same man in both videos, separated by 24 years. That man's name is Flex Wheeler, and he's considered one of the greatest bodybuilders to have ever lived. Some call him the uncrowned Mr Olympia, on account of his having placed second at the Mr Olympia contest on more than one occasion, and his having one of the best physiques ever to appear on a professional bodybuilding stage. Time will humble even the greatest of us. That is one thing we can all know for certain. It is said that after a great victory, Roman generals would be granted a triumph, their own public parade. As the triumph reached its end, a laurel crown was adorned upon the general's head, and even as this was done, a slave would whisper the words "Sic transit gloria" into his ear, which means glory fades. All material power and wealth passes. All of it. No exception. Think of dominant figures and groups throughout history. Tutankhamun, Confucius, Alexander the Great, Queen Elizabeth II, Gandhi, Mao Zedong, Howard Hughes, Elvis Presley. Think also of the ancient and modern empires of Egypt, Rome, Greece, the Aztecs and the Mayans, the Ming Dynasty, the British Empire, Imperial Japan, and the Soviet Union. Some of these people and groups might be considered more benevolent or malicious than others, but they all have one thing in common. Their power and their time have passed. Most forms of power in the world can be taken away. The obvious equalizer is death. Yet at a more basic level, as soon as the resource you have is no longer valued by others, the power it's granted you diminishes or disappears. Think of the value of property after the 2008 economic crash, the cryptocurrency crash of 2022, or the resale value of your super fancy, super expensive office fax machine after email went mainstream around the late 1990s. Once the social, economic, or political value of a product, service, or skill diminishes, the power is drained from it like air from a deflating balloon. This is not the case with the capacity I often write about and speak about, and is the subject of my book Power and Presence. Perhaps you're particularly handsome or beautiful and have a great physique or figure. Did you ever see the 1990 science fiction movie Total Recall? Memorable for its fast-paced plot. Arnold Schwarzenegger's cheesy one-liners.
Consider that a divorce.
And B-grade awful special effects. And of course, an impossibly beautiful Sharon Stone. Arnold too was at his physically imposing best, with ridiculously large biceps, impossibly huge pectorals, and an unfeasibly wide tooth gap. Both he and Stone were at the height of their careers and physical powers. No respect to Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sharon Stone, they're not quite what they used to be physically. Arnold's once gigantic chest has deflated, while Sharon Stone's countenance isn't as jaw-dropping as it was in her heyday. There's no question that both Arnold and Sharon Stone had star power. They still do, just not as much. Although both can still attract attention in a crowded room in a way that most of us lesser mortals could only dream about. In recent years, both actors have had their ego falls. Arnold's affair with a family maid garnered widespread attention and criticism, and he ultimately separated from his wife, Maria Shriver. Meanwhile, in 2001, Sharon Stone suffered a life-threatening stroke and almost died. It took her 7 years of self-discipline and ongoing therapy to recover her physical capacities. Remarkably, she had a kind of near-death experience and came to redefine her life and discover a deeper and more spiritual relationship with herself and the world. Beauty isn't everything. Fame and fortune, like life itself, is temporary. Mick Jagger famously said that fame just isn't worth it. American entertainer Donny Osmond tearfully pined that if he could live his life again, he would gladly trade in all his fame and fortune to be just another kid and grow up ordinary, like his childhood friends. If you master the 5 pillars of the deep self, which I talk about in my book Power and Presence, you'll be more powerful than most rich and famous celebrities and politicians. Think about that. However, you won't necessarily be powerful in the way your mind might prefer you to be. The truth is that we have to be careful when using the term empowerment, for the mind tends to grasp fervently to its preferred vision of personal power, and to imagine that power is all about becoming an all-powerful, godlike entity towering colossus-like above the world, a veritable Superman or Superwoman. Such imaginings represent the ultimate fantasy of the ego, an outcome that would instantly, and ironically, strip you of the kind of power I'm talking about. For the mind is never powerful for long, and your body isn't immortal like the Man of Steel's. Your mind's vulnerabilities are never far from being exposed. Its next trauma never far from being triggered. And what a wonderful cosmic conspiracy that is. For how else would you ever see the shadows of your mind? See yourself. As Carl Jung once observed, we become enlightened not by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. Just as the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune helped Hamlet to rise above his own weaknesses and to step forth into his power, the tempests of our own lives can do the same thing. Yet courage and wise actions are required. Your next ego fall is never far away. And I say, bring it on. So let's be clear from the beginning. You aren't going to get much supermanish power from the kind of power I'm talking about here. Instead, this power will stick you right smack bang in the middle of humanity, although hovering just distant enough above the heaving masses such that you can see things a little more clearly than those at ground level. So it is that this power is an oft neglected form of empowerment. Nonetheless, that power is an almost infinite resource that has the potential to grant us invaluable capacities in our lives and in our relationships with people and the world. Indeed, it can transform our entire being, granting us the seeming magical ability to develop conscious relationship with experience. I'm talking about presence. The ability to bring your mind into a state of empowered and restful equanimity at will. And this can often be done almost completely independently of what's going on around you. Most crucially, once the resource is developed and mastered, it is almost impossible for anyone to take it away from us. Think of the power in that. Almost all other resources can be appropriated by another, no matter how much control we have over them at any given time. The key to this sort of empowerment is your ability to activate embodied presence, to be able to observe as witness the mind and its mental and emotional machinations without being drawn into its wake at will. This is well within the grasp of any human being of common mental ability and who also possesses an intention to assume responsibility for the thoughts and feelings that rise within their mind and body. This latter ability is what I call mental and emotional responsibility, and it's one of the 5 pillars of the deep self. The key to empowerment in this sense lies in not identifying with our thoughts and feelings. There then follows the realization that our thoughts are not who I am. This expression of empowerment does not come without a price or several. Indeed, the first obvious inconvenience is that we need to begin to assume responsibility for the judgments and projections that arise within our minds. These are the mental verdicts which are typically directed at our circumstances and at our fellow human beings. The ego is the unobserved mind, and it will tend to conflate its projections with the object or person being observed. She's emotionally immature. That guy's got issues. This is no way to run a country. It will be much better around here if we got rid of this guy. It's important to realize that the power that emerges from embodied presence in no way guarantees a desired or expected outcome. It typically reduces the possibility of certain kinds of conflicts and dramas, and it can certainly help you develop a greater sense of empowerment. But the boss may still go off at you. People may gossip. You might be discredited or even fired, unjustly or otherwise. The kind of power I speak of here is not about the outcome. It's about the process, about the present moment. Presence itself cannot be traded. Nonetheless, it can be impactful on others and the world. And it does have a certain value in the market, namely where the wisdom, skills, and aptitudes it instills are often found to be appreciated by others. But the power of presence is mostly about you and your relationship with yourself and the world around you. When we choose to honor presence, it's because we value ourselves and also because we choose to honor those with whom we engage. Imagine a hot air balloon tossed about in a violent storm, yet so stable and robust that it is invulnerable to the gusting winds and flashing lightning all about it. That would be some power. And that is the power of the mastery of presence. The power of presence is thus an internal power that never leaves us, although we may leave it. It's not about how to control the world through the power of thought, via the law of attraction or such esoteric teachings. It's about establishing a conscious relationship with the mind and its desires, and with whatever shows up in your life, no matter how much you want it or don't want it to be there. The power of presence is a power that can permit you to be authentically you, a rare thing in this age of artificial intelligence. Indeed, just as you will need to reteach others who you are after you discover your deep self, you will also need to reteach the machines who you truly are and reclaim your life. But that's a topic for another video. I'm Marcus T. Anthony. See you again soon on this Power and Presence channel. Bye for now.